Egito mukushaba komabazyo n'ekigambo kirukuhumuriza kandi no kuteekateka gye okora kwere kutunga obuhumure n'embabazi.
Endera izuba ryawe oyina okugariza ebiteekateeko enyuma okamanya ebirikugenda omu maisho ahari obusinge n'okushaba.
Programu okushaba no kweteekateekaho nanye omuheereza wawe Dickens Agaba Karungi omwana warwo.
Orwa mukaaga na Sunday kutandika na shaaha ine z'ekiro aha Revival TV amagara omu bwijwire. Otaferwa aha Revival TV.
Enda kuta sente omu itaka noyenda kudevelopinga itaka ryawe nokunda kuhurikiza ebintu birungi ebikwataine n'amataka The Land Talk Show na program yawe
Yagaita aha kiganiro cy'abakugoma by'amataka abino obukugoma kutungura mwanya abakugoma kwetegereza by'amataka n'aba batungira itaka omurundu gwabo gwo kubanza.
Amataka ago gakubaga ry'amahanda kuruga omu kilomita 5 kuruga ryemwe kwikari 5 agamataka mingi gaga ry'amahanda nibageta ku masho.
Buri Sunday tukuratire orukuhururo kwecumintereza ahabikura abana samo ebihembo n'ebihame biryo mu kukoresa itaka
okuhinga okurya okunywa ibiruga omwitaka okuturage no kushemererwa amaju gaboneire bwona no mwitaka nabwe kitaka tihine kintu kiri kushana nk'itaka abo kubitaka n'ekintu ekyo mutano
twegiteho otukuratire kandi ugume nitwe kandi oyeteekateka kwetegereza ekirya hansi y'ebigere byawe.
Wanoshara estate omwanya gumwe no basa kushanga kije cyaro temu estate abantu bombekemo babe forced kutamweduka umisha wa muhanda omwate hakaduka ondije te hakandi eventually ushange yabaki yaba commercial area.
Land Talk aho bwenge buri kubuganira no mu kishago bunaku
byona nibuzakwa nibukishibwaho kamwe na Rebecca kandi buri Sunday shaha 11 mpaka 12 aha Revival TV amagara ombijide.
Revival TV amagara ombijwire.
Of course, we are still at Revival TV. It is at Star Times antenna 232. That is the channel that we are on today. And Revival TV has served us so well and brought us this very mega inaugural tournament. We are calling it the National Debate Championship that has been organized by Teachers Debate Network Uganda, a tournament that has brought over 50 teams here to verse and debate on different matters, but under the theme of drug addictions and drug usages. And this is a tournament organized with primary schools having their own side of take and secondary schools having their own side of the battle. And we are yet to see who, of course, merges as the best out of the best and becomes the champion of this inaugural national championship. With your host, Sigira Adonia, I bring you this very last session, this very last preliminary session. We have had 7 preliminary rounds, and now we are yet to see who is actually going to break to the next round. Of course, the next round is a tough one. The higher you go, the tougher the game gets. And with me, we have the team Air Force from Ntale. And we have Team Ntale School that are here versing on a major topic that I am going to bring to you, our dear viewers. And it has an info slide. In debate, we have info slide. And I will read it, then read the resolution and hand over to the judge to take us through. The info slide reads, or the preparatory message reads that ushers us into the resolution. Lisa, a middle-class teacher, has been married to Rin, a wealthy tech entrepreneur, for 5 years. Recently, Lisa discovered Rin's escalating substance abuse, cocaine use during high-pressure business deals, and opioid dependency to manage stress. Rin refuses rehabilitation, citing stigma and the belief that their wealth insulates them from consequences. And this is the resolution. This house, as Lisa, would end the relationship with Rin. Our dear viewers, allow me take you straight to our dear judge that is going to judge or give us a verdict after the end of this whole kind of interaction and discussion where the two teams are going to rock horns of their minds together. I hand over to you, the judge. You're welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to the final round of this segment. Just a few ground rules. They apply the same way. You'll have 5 minutes of speech. Your first and last minute will be protected. You'll get a time signal at the end of your first minute, and also before your last minute. You'll have 15 seconds grace after 5 minutes to wrap up your speech. You can engage the debate through points of information. It will strictly be not more than 15 seconds. Have fun. Good luck.
Okay, I just want to. Am I audible? Okay, if I'm audible, I begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. I want to do some motion clarity. I think this is an actor's motion, meaning that it is in the best interest of the actor that whatever we debate about or whatever impacts come within this specific round, they lie within the best interest of the actor we stand to propose. Firstly, I think the actor's motion needs two things. Firstly, does the actor has the capacity to take up a certain policy? But then secondly, does the actor have the incentive to do certain things that are more likely going to be a priority within this specific round? I think it is more likely important. Let us characterize what Lisa's personality is and what her interest is. It looks like 5 things. Firstly, Lisa wants to keep her professionality. It looks like she's a teacher. She's a person who has certain moral standards within the students she teaches, the people that she portrays within this society. It looks like Lisa wants to keep her professionality because she's more likely standard. But then secondly, is that she wants long-term personal and children well-being. Lisa is a person who more likely wants a life of general aspect where she can live with her children, where she can live with herself, where it is more likely important for her to have a general life aspect. But then secondly, is that Lisa wants to have a clear and designated relationship, a quite beautiful relationship where you don't face things like coercion, where you don't face things like violence. We think it is critically important for Lisa to more likely understand what is necessarily important. But then secondly, is that Lisa is more likely vulnerable. This means that Lisa is in a position where her safety is not guaranteed in Rin's relationship. It looks like Lisa doesn't get just a justification of why her relationship is more likely important. Lisa is vulnerable in this kind of debate. But then secondly, is that she wants a reliable partner, someone she can always rely in. Notice that relationship is something that you always oftentimes want to rely in within the general aspect. Relation then becomes an avenue for you to more likely care about things like how you tell your problems to your partner and how you get to solve them anyways. Secondly, I want to show you what addicts like Rin look like. Firstly, I think Rin is irrational in this kind of position. It means that he's unwilling to take accountability of his specific actions. Rin is unwilling to more likely do certain things like go for imprisonment or more likely go for health issues. Rin has the incentive in himself that tells him that wealth is the only choice or the only incentive that can always solve certain problems within that specific regard. But then secondly, is that Rin is more likely violent. Notice that most people who are always drug addicts are in a position of violence. They are less likely going to make up mechanisms that would weigh up specific things like peace and safety. It looks like Rin is more likely violent, and this is not a good position for Lisa to more likely live in. The consequences of what this would be in terms of the info slide, I think more likely there are things like health challenges. Rin is more likely going to face things like health challenges, but most importantly, there is an idea that he faces depression within this society. Things like stigma, things like what he more likely has to face within the vast majority of instances. But then secondly, is that the problem there could be things like imprisonment, given that the rule of law or the exclusionary rule of that specific country would say that the subject to you taking drugs is imprisonment anyways. We say Lisa is more likely going to face violence at a point in time. The question here is quite simple. Why does the wealth insulate the consequence? I think firstly, there is a trend to which corruption is reducing within these specific countries. It looks like even if corruption is reducing, at a point in time where corruption is reducing, the wealth cannot more likely manipulate the police systems to more likely reduce the imprisonment anyways. This looks like Rin cannot corrupt the government and take out imprisonment, so he has to go to prison in the first place. But then secondly, health issues like cancer, certain things you cannot solve with money, because there is a trend that says that when you have things like cancer, you are less likely going to heal. We say that a constant level to which Rin is irrational. He cannot understand the problem within that specific analysis. He cannot understand that he's going to suffer from things like cancer, and he's unlikely going to, more likely, is unlikely going to heal. But then secondly, I think money could try then to do away with things like imprisonment. But that is just marginal analysis. Other problems, things like the likely to suffer from health issues, are more likely going to be taken away. My argument here is quite simple, given that framing. Firstly, I'm going to say in harm's principle, this is justified. The claim here is quite simple. We say Lisa wouldn't be harmed within this debate. At a point in time where Rin is violent, things like torture exist. The problem is that there is no unique relationship when Lisa is constantly harmed. This looks like Lisa will have to suffer things like violence from Rin, when the right of Lisa to have to be free from things like torture is more likely taken away by Rin to constantly violate him, given my framing tells you that Rin is more likely violent according to his irrationality. We say it is bad for Lisa. But then secondly, we think that Lisa has a right to make certain decisions within this relationship. It looks like the violence in and of itself would constantly take away Lisa's right to make certain decisions, to make certain evaluations on how they do specific things within the relationship. Lisa doesn't get a consent. Lisa doesn't make decisions in this kind of way. This is bad for two reasons. First thing is that her right of security is more likely eroded, because it looks like Lisa is always eroded away by her right of security. She is not guaranteed of the safety that she gets to get in a relationship. But then lastly is that she is taken out of trust. On a comparative is that you get better or trustees on our side of the house. You're able to maintain a relationship. You're able to maintain a world where Lisa is able to make constant decisions anyways. But given Lisa cares about things like relationship, Lisa is in a position where she can always have good children, good family, and she can make right decisions. We stand to propose. Thank you.
We want to thank the speaker for that speech. We now invite upon the first speaker on the proposition to state their case.
I begin my speech in a 1, 2, 3. In today's resolution, this house as Lisa would end the relationship with Ryan. Dear ladies and gentlemen, we believe that you cannot solve a problem by running away from a problem, from a relationship or from a problem. Dear ladies and gentlemen, look at how he's coming here and talking about violence. But looking at the info slide, they are talking about escalating of this substance. That means that this person has not yet been addicted, and hence there is no harm that can be a cause to Lisa. Dear ladies and gentlemen, if this house says it would, that means that there's something is not there. That means that something has to be done. First of all, what is a relationship? This is a strong bond between two or more people, and in today's resolution, we are looking at two people, Lisa and Ryan, who are in the relationship. Lisa is not just a teacher, but a lover to Ryan, and they are in a relationship. They share a bond. Here, ladies and gentlemen, we as negators said that ending of the relationship is not going to solve a problem. Instead, cause more stigmatization, loneliness. Hence, instead, there's going to be more escalation. This person is going to use more drugs to solve the stress, because you're saying that this person is using these drugs to stop the stress. Dear ladies and gentlemen, we come in as the wife, and our plan is to carry out counseling, then inject to overcome the use of the substance, because we see there is a drug called methadone, a long-acting opioid agonist, which can help Ryan to withdraw symptoms and cravings of using the drug. So dear ladies and gentlemen, we are also going to advise him on other alternatives of overcoming stress, because you're looking at the problem to why this person is using these drugs. It's because of stress, dear ladies and gentlemen, as it was mentioned, dear ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to advise him in other ways to overcome stress. For example, going to recreation centers, taking some drinks. This is natural, and hence there is going to overcome stress, dear ladies and gentlemen. We are saying that money, he says that he has money and all the wealth, so he's going to pay the officers if he's taken, and yes, and he doesn't want the rehabilitation, because he has cited his stigma and a belief that their wealth insulates them from the consequences. So we as negators see that first point, please. We as negators see that Ryan can change because of love and commitment. They have a long-lasting emotional bond, dear ladies and gentlemen. So ladies and gentlemen, imagine you have a lover. Can you really walk away from a relationship just because this person is struggling? Why don't you help that person instead of running away? And hence we are seeing that this is just escalating, dear ladies and gentlemen. So that means that this person can change. And hence, dear ladies and gentlemen, we are not supporting today's resolution. And I will lay down my arguments. My second speaker is going to come put more light on our arguments and respond to the rebuttal. My third speaker is going to respond to the clashes and summarize our arguments. First of all, we don't support the solution because, first of all, there is room for change. This man can change because of love. First of all, our second argument is love and commitment, and third, potential for future growth and improvement. Dear ladies and gentlemen, you cannot solve a problem by running away problem. Please lay out your POI.
Okay, given that Rin thinks that the only solution is wealth, how are you able to advise a person who cannot think that the only solution is things like sensitization when their mind is just focused on wealth anyways?
That's why we are showing you that this man is focused on his wealth. So that means that this wife has a big role to play instead of running out. That means that the responsibility is for the wife to take care of the husband, to counsel him, to guide him, to be there for him instead of running out. Because we have seen he has refused, he has cited his stigma. And dear ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to show you that these people have not understood today's resolution. We are saying that the dependence is just escalating because of stress. So why don't we advise him to overcome stress in other ways? So you're going to find out that it is an ignorance that is leading to this man to abuse the drug. So dear ladies and gentlemen, what was there for the farmers to come and tell us? I'll put more light on our first argument, which is room for change. As I've told you that this is a bond. A relationship is a bond between two people. So this is love. That means that this man has a room to change. He's going to change because of the love they are sharing. He's going to be able to acknowledge the counseling. He's going to be able to acknowledge ways of overcoming stress, dear ladies and gentlemen. At the end of it all, we are addressing a root cause. We are not just coming out of nowhere, dear ladies and gentlemen. And hence, in today's resolution, we are looking at how we are going to overcome this. And hence, what were our farmers coming here to tell us, dear ladies and gentlemen? We agree that you cannot run away from a problem instead of solving it, dear ladies and gentlemen. Hence, I'll put more light on our second argument too, dear ladies and gentlemen, which is love and commitment. A relationship is a bond between two people. These people share relationships, and that means that due to the love and commitment these two people are sharing, this person is going to change. Because you may feel a strong emotional bond within your husband, and you want to support him through the struggles. Are they aware of this, dear ladies and gentlemen? In hence, what were they telling us? I rest my case being the first getter. Thank you.
I want to thank the speaker for that speech. We now call upon the second speaker on the proposition to extend their case.
Okay, thank you so much. For purposes of my speech, please don't badger, it's not kind. If you have a POI, you can raise your hand up. I'll surely take you. I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, one of the things we need to understand is that today's motion is an actor's motion. I think the actor in today's debate is Lisa, so we are much more looking at what is most important for him. I think all the claims we get from them about how it is then going to be detrimental to Rin and the husband anyways, as long as they are not in the best interest of Lisa, I think they are much more incentivized not to be considered. I'm so proud to propose. One, I think the main chant we get from them is that, look, running away escalates the problem. I think this is largely irrelevant in today's debate. Here's why. I think the problem is with Rin, because Rin constantly actually puts up these things. I think the reason we should not consider this is A, because it's so detrimental to Lisa. When this guy comes drunk at home, she's more likely to beat her up. I think she's suffering a lot, and she's much more likely to buy into these things. I think to an extent, Lisa wouldn't be much more incentivized if at all she's living in a relationship which is so much more chaotic. I think Lisa has a better alternative, which is why we think if at all she ends the relationship, she's much more willing to go and get a better husband anyways. I think it is much more justified. But even secondly, they come in to argue about how these people actually share a bond. I think that mostly, if at all the bond is there, it's supposed to be supporting both parties. Notice panel, the whole thing they come in to argue is, hey, look, if at all I'm rich and I maybe have a lot of money, I don't care about the decisions my wife is going to tell me. If my wife tells me that, look, if at all you're going to go out of drugs, you're supposed to go and maybe use rehabilitation centers and juice as they fearmonger anyways. I think from info slide, this actor is irrational. We think that Rin is already irrational given the fact that he has constantly failed and resisted going to rehabilitation centers anyway, since he even thinks arrogantly that, hey, if at all I have my money, I'm much more likely to maybe insulate myself from the detriment harms of taking drugs. I think that is also not justified. 2, they come in and tell us that, look, we're going to carry out counseling by advising him how to get out of stress. I already showed you how Rin is already irrational and someone who is not much more willing to buy into those things. But even lastly, they come in to argue that, hey, look, he has money to pay for rehabilitation. I think it's something that is clearly stated in info slide. It is stated that, look, this individual already knows that his money can maybe shadow him or like insulate him from the cancer that is going to come anyways. I think that even secondly, the whole chat they give us that, look, maybe he will go for rehabilitation or use other alternatives or using stress and maybe taking stress from him anyways. I think the reason Rin wouldn't be buying into that idea is because the reason he has stress is because he has money. And the reason he has money is the reason he has stress. We think that if at all he buys out of that idea and maybe starts using other mechanisms that are not going to be much more willing to help him, right? Because we think even these drugs, we consider the whole idea that they actually relieve that stress to him anyways. We think that if at all he buys into the other ideas, he won't have the money anyways, they won't have a happy relationship, so he won't be much more willing to buy into that anyways. We think it is much more justified. To go back onto the argument of there being a potential for change. I think this argument is largely irrelevant because it caters more because it looks much more onto the actor that is not important in today's debate. It looks at Rin because Rin is going to change. We think the thing we should be prioritizing in today's debate is what's best for Lisa, because she's the person who is much more being looked at in the side of the house anyways. I think their case runs at that anyways. Now, going back into our substantive matter, we think that the reason she's much more incentivized to do so is because she's a rational actor. Notice from info slide, there's a person who came from a middle class family. There's a person who knows that there's a likelihood for getting a better partner. We think that as a teacher, she's also much more willing to keep her professionality in school. We think she also wants to keep her image as a rational teacher. We think that the idea that she sets up a good precedence within society, that her boundaries or the boundaries she sets are much more important, is also important within her social space. Her emotional well-being is also much more justified anyways. We think that as a person who is a teacher, she would be much more willing to buy into saving her emotional well-being. It looks like she wants to constantly maybe interact with kids that she teaches in school and have a better relationship with them. That is the only way she would actually keep her job and remain happy anyways. I think by the time she's a teacher, she loves her job, we supposedly assume. But even secondly, I think why she's not having a happy relationship is because of the clash of lifestyle. Notice Pano, Rin is someone who is a drug addict, a person who constantly takes drugs, things like caffeine anyways. We think at the end of the day, these people, as a person who is from a middle class society, she's much more willing to buy into things like working hard. She looks at them as being the most ethical things they do anyways, because those are things that premise people who are from humble backgrounds. She looks at things like accountability and self-improvement. It looks like if these two people live together, there's much more backlash that exists within those people. It looks like fights over and over again and gender-based violence exist and emerge within the side of the house. But even lastly, as a rational actor, she would want trust and stability within the relationship. We think if a relationship does not have stability, if a husband is not willing to listen to their wife, we are much more justified that they won't have a quality of life in the future. We think as a person who is a teacher, she actually looks at what's there in the future. She's actually a person who sees beyond, and we think that even the most thing that's detrimental from the side of the house is, look, when this guy takes drugs and when they constantly persist within society, people often look at things like secrecy. Because my wife says don't take drugs, I think you're going to adopt those ethical values that are unethical, things like unreliability and relationships, and drugs can't exist at the same time. They are mutually exclusive. I'm so proud to propose.
One, thank the speaker for that speech. We now call upon the second speaker on the opposition to extend their case.
I start my speech in a countdown of 3, 3, 2, 1, and go. This house as Lisa would not end the relationship with rain, happen to be the resolution of the day, according to Team Negative. To start with, if at all there is fire starting to burn, would you rather wait and leave the fire to accumulate other than killing it at the grassroots? That is what we, Team Negative, we are focusing at. To start with, this Team Affirmative came in here and brought a point of morality, as said by the first speaker, that you know what, if Lisa leave this marine, he's going to promote morality in the society since what, she's a teacher. But we come here on board, tell them as Team Negative, which kind of morality is she going to live in the society? Yes, she's going to leave the husband at the end of the day, going to another man at the end of the day. What are they trying to show the society? Is like stay in a relationship and at the end of the day separate, and what will come out at the end of the day, it will be like women are all the same and women are useless, and that is what we are trying to fight. They come and talk about what this lady facing violence, torture, and what that is what they are sticking on, as if what my first speaker said wasn't enough. We came here and told them that you know what, this lady has stayed with this man in a relationship for a good long time, but he has not done anything like violence, and according to what we have been given, we have seen that this man haven't committed anything like violence, though there is there is high probability they are trying to bring it in that this violence can come, but we are trying to show them that you know what, love is a strong bond between two people. That means that when they love themselves, this woman can talk to this man and make him change, and they talked about this man being accountable for what you have done. But what we Team Negative post in the house is that, can two wrong make a right? No. That's why we are trying to show you that much as he has done this bad act, we should not hold him accountable the way they are claiming it to be. Because at the end of the day, dear judge, look, we are not going to solve any problem here because you are leaving this man alone, and at the end of the day, he is going to continue taking this drug. As we have already seen that what the reason to why he has failed to overcome this, he has failed to go to rehab simply because of stigmatization he is fighting for. So what are we Team Negative trying to show you? By the time this lady come in and cancel the husband, or even call other religious leaders to come and talk this man in private, or even take him for retreatment, he's going to become better and overcome this problem. And at the end of the day, rehabilitation is not the only solution to drug use. That's why we are trying to show that you know what, not only rehabilitation can calm this problem. At the end of the day, what are Team Affirmative trying to bring on board? They are not solving any problem, unlike our party whereby we are trying to show you that you know what, with our policy of counseling, treating, and making this lady take the responsibility of the husband, he's going to fight this problem. First wait, they also talked about Lisa is likely to face what stigma in the society because of the husband's deed. But we are trying to show them that you know what, once Lisa leaves this relationship, she's the one going to face the stigma from the society more, because the society will be like, you know what, this reckless woman left the husband simply because she can't take care of the husband, and at the end of the day, who is going to be stigmatized more? And that is Lisa. And that's what we are trying to fight here. That's what Team Negative are not, Team Affirmative are not seeing. We also bring in what they talked about, these people making like what, good family with these children. But dear judge, tell us, this man is a wealthy man compared to the to Lisa. If they get divorced, who are going to take care of these children? Because now Lisa right now is having like, financial, like she is not more than the husband. That means if they live her with these what children is already a burden to her. That's why we are trying to show you that she should stay in this marriage whereby they will overcome the problem together, and this money will be used to give the children their needs other than running away, and at the end of the day causing more family breakdown. And they also come and talked about what but that's why we Team Affirmative, we are trying to come here and tell you that you know what we are solving here, we are fighting the problem from the root cause being in the house before it expands. And that's why we are trying to say what this Lisa should take the responsibility of the husband and make sure that the problem is solved. And we come here and talked about hope for change. No matter how the circumstance is, there should be hope. Never lose hope until hope loses you, of which it is impossible. That means this one is going to stay, and with time, rain is going to change. And we also come and talked about love and commitment. For this this resolution is already stated that these people are married people. Take for example, you even made a vow in your wedding. Are you going to just leave your man just like that? Yet you have and feel like you are living out the vow. You even got committed to him. You swear that you are going to take care of him in no matter circumstances of which they didn't answer. We also give them a POI. Imagine you have a lover. Will you just walk out just like that? Not caring they didn't answer. We are also telling you that there is potential for growth, and that is why we are trying to show you that if this man is being changed, there is that potential for growth, and that is a future hope we are looking at. But just not leaving this man, not attending to, and that's why we are trying to show you that as Team Negative, at the end of the day, we are caring for both parties, and we are solving the problem of stigma, and at the end of the day, giving Rain a best environment to live at. All matters rise.
I want to thank the speaker for that speech. We now call upon the third speaker on the opposition to weigh the debate on their side.
I start my speech in 3, 2, 1. I think that the person that takes this debate is the one who best proves where the incentives or the interests of Lisa are best met. I don't think it's the person who best proves where the husband Rin or where this person Rin is going to best change or where he's going to best recover. A couple of direct responses before I move to weighing the clashes. One, on stigma, that when you go away from this relationship, that there's going to be stigma that you left your relationship. I think that that is largely not true because like we are in a .com era or past the .com era, and like society has largely changed to accept divorces and stuff like that. But I think the problem is even worse on their side of the house, because I think people will perceive you as someone that is not able like to self-determine. Like you stay in a toxic relationship when there are harms that are happening to you. I think then that perception becomes worse on their side of the house. Secondly, on finances, when they tell us that, look, that she's going to suffer financially and stuff like that. One, Lisa already has a job, so like she already works and she can already sustain herself. Even if you are not able to buy into that, remember that when you divorce someone, court gives you some money or like money to sustain you in majority of the cases. So like Lisa is much more likely to get like some money from the divorce. But even if you want not to buy that, notice that money is not the most important incentive of Lisa. Arnold tells you in first speech that you care more about your emotional well-being or about how you live in society and whether your rights or like your like ability to self-determine are being respected. I do not think that when you have a lot of money and a lot of luxury surrounding you, but you're living poorly, that is a much more desirable world. Now, the fundamental question comes on like, where are the incentives of Lisa best met? The kinds of pushes we get from them, one is on loneliness, that you're going to get lonely and stuff like that. We think that the problem is worse on your side of the house. We do not think that someone that is a drug addict provides like good company. Secondly, they tell us that people like running away does not solve the problem. One, notice that when the problem is past you, when you notice that you cannot solve a problem, then staying in the toxic relationship is just a silly idea. But then notice that we do not care whether the problem is solved or not. We care about the incentive of Lisa. Thirdly, which is maybe the largest push, is that that there is room for change, that this guy can still change. I think this is mostly flawed because one, her ideas are not likely to be bought by Lisa. I mean by this guy Rin. This is because people who do business have egos and stuff like that. But then secondly, this is a guy that takes drugs, and because of that, Arnold tells you that he's mostly irrational. So because he thinks that he even has a solution to the challenges that he's facing, he's not likely to take the advice that is coming from Lisa. So we see that it is not likely that this guy is going to change anyways. Then secondly, they tell us about love and commitment. I think that this is like mostly flawed because of like two reasons. One, we think that love and commitment depend on like you being able like to reflect this kind of love and this love and respect back to you. At a point in time where this person is unreliable, where like they're unpredictable, we do not think that that love and commitment like still exists in the relationship anyways. But then we think that at a point in time where you feel like that trust that is supposed to be an important part of love and commitment is not there, then it is much more better that you run away from this kind of relationship. But even in their best case true, where the arguments stand, they still cannot win the debate. Notice that the impacts of the argument are that, look, this guy is going to change, that you're going to preserve love and commitment. Now, on a comparison, when you compare with our material that we tell you that when you prioritize your health and well-being because you have more emotional safety emotional safety, boundaries being respected, and like you can support yourself, notice that that becomes better like on 3 aspects. One, the impacts of their arguments can only exist in the short term because we do not know to what extent this love and commitment is going to exist if this person is constantly taking drugs and he's refusing medication. But then secondly, on likelihood, at a point where we substantially prove to you that it is not likely that this guy is going to change these habits because he thinks he has a solution and he's not likely to buy into your ideas because of his ego, because of his irrationality, we think that on likelihood, our things are much able to like actualize than their things. Because look, when you run away from this relationship, it is always likely that you're going to have emotional safety. It is always likely that you have shown that you respect your boundaries and that your boundaries are something that you're not like willing to like compromise. But then thirdly, on the magnitude of harms, notice that when you stay in this relationship, the harms still like exist. Like at a certain point of time where this person is violent and stuff like that, at a point where they are hurting you and stuff like that, we think that those things are very, very, very big on their side of the house. On our side of the house, we think that the harms that you could maybe like you could maybe face on our side of the house is that maybe you're not able to like support yourself financially, but like you're able to like undergo that kind of thing at a point where you have a job, and then also divorce is able to provide money. But at a point where we show you that the incentives of the actor are much better fulfilled on our side of the house, we think we are best suited to win the debate.
The House wants to thank the third speaker on the proposition. We call upon the third speaker on the opposition to weigh the debate on their side.
I begin my speech in 1, 2. My name is Laja Gumbada Christel from Team Negative from Air Force. With you, it's me. The Team Affirmative, come and tell us here, knows this. And I would like to give them one proverb that said, because of love, a priest changed his priesthood to a husband. That means because of love, this man can still change. And I can still also tell them that if you give a monkey banana and you also present in front of that same monkey money, the monkey will choose money, the monkey will choose banana, not knowing that the money can buy more bananas. That means what? They come and tell us that this woman can still get part of that property and still goes on and make her life with that property, not knowing that if she remains with this husband, this man knows how to make money, they will stand their family and run family properly. And they are failing to understand the fact here that this problem is not an addiction rejected. It's not an addiction. It is just a correlating issue. It's a rising issue. That means that if this woman puts in constant and commitment and cancels the husband, there will be a change. They come and tell us here, we can come and look at the clash points where they talk of her sticking in a toxic relationship. She has a job. Then they talk of emotional safety. They also talk of addiction, which it is a wrong decision already. They are looking at addiction is not in this case. It is just a rising problem. Then if we talk of a toxic relationship, the man has not yet become so toxic the way they are assuming it, that he will become violent and he starts torturing the woman. And while for us, the Team Negative, we're looking at it at this angle, whereby this woman speaker rejected, relax, I'm still talking, be respectful. And we're looking at it at this angle. This woman remains in this relationship, cancels the husband and tells the husband, you know what, this and this is wrong. And we have seen that love is the only way. These people are sharing bonds and this bond can take it. I acknowledge them. They came and told us that there is need of reliable partner and she needs to be reliable. Whereby we are looking at, she has to be reliable and consent with the husband. They talk of the safety of the children. Yes, safety of the children. Whereby she is going to go and who is going to take the care of the children? Rejected. And they came and talked of that the husband will be mistreating the wife. Whereby we have not seen that scenario in this. We are seeing the reason to why this man is depressed is due to his work straight, whereby we're telling you that if this man is cancelled by the wife, he has refused the rehabilitation. Yes, we agree, but cancelling him from home by someone that he loves, as I've told you, a priest changed his priesthood to a husband. What can't love do? We have seen people changing because of love, and you're not seeing that. We also tell you that you say that the husband he's not willing to change. He is not willing to go for rehabilitation, not for changing. You get it? He's not. We also tell you that you came and clashed our point that there is no potential in this man because he's just mind focusing. We're telling you that if this woman remains in this marriage, they will exercise where she will cancel the man, and the man will become a normal and calm existence. Whereby we have told you that if this woman goes on rejected and sit down, you never gave us any chance. So, if this woman goes and cancels the husband comes to understand that there is other ways of coming down this stress that he's going through, whereby we told you that he will be taking some other medication that comes down the stress, has the methodolog, and that is acting appealed against the opiate that he was taking. It can manage stress. Instead of him taking the cocaine that he was taking, that will be harmful. Why would she run away from a relationship? You cannot run from a problem. You cannot end a relationship over one minor issue. We have seen relationships solving issues, and why would this one issue make it an end to a relationship? You are telling us the woman should protect her job. That woman should protect her job. What are we seeing here? If she gets out of the marriage, she will also still have societal torture. And you're telling us that it should be the man's responsibility to struggle and curb his own. She should leave him. Whereby we're saying, no, that will not be helping. You will still promote the use of these substances. Instead, if she leaves the man will become more depressed and stressed and taking more of this substance. But if she cancels and remains with this man, the man will understand and also gets to know that there is need to change. And for that, I would like to tell the house that this woman remaining in the relationship, they spoke of societal judgment, whereby emotional safety, whereby you're saying if she goes out of the marriage, there will be more emotional damage, whereby people in the community will finger point her, hence leading to more depression. With that, I remain Lajogumba Crystal from Team Negative from Air Force Secondary School.
The House wants to thank the third opposition for their speech. We now call upon the opposition reply to state their reply.
I begin my speech in a countdown of 3, 2, 1, and go. Back again, the second speaker from Team Negative to show you clearly why these Team Negators take that day. To start with, dear judges, we are winning. Dear judge, we are winning this debate in six points, and that is to start with. Number 1, we are having impact analysis, 2, POI analysis, we are having problem analysis, solution analysis, rebuttal and clashing analysis. And to start with, we showed you clearly that you know what, our impact is more heavier or is overweighing them, because we are trying to show you that at the end of the day, if we make Lisa help the husband overcome this situation, we are going to promote a decent society. What do they bring on board? Promote separation of families and other immoral acts in the society. In that ground, we are showing you that our impact overweighs theirs. And impact analysis, we ask them whether, imagine you have a lover, will you just walk out just like that? They didn't answer, dear judge. In that ground, we win the debate. We also bring in the problem analysis, whereby we realize that the problem here, why the family is coming to break down, it is because of drug use, and only because we are saying that the husband is now can't go for rehabilitation. What can't go for rehabilitation? Are we going to make this problem just accumulate? No, we identified the problem, and the solution analysis was we are going to make this woman stay in here and help the husband fight the problem that he is facing by counseling, guidance, and giving him treatment, in like not taking him for rehabilitation, because we have seen not only rehabilitation can fight this problem, but even the woman standing there for him can fight this challenge. In that ground, we win the debate. We come in with our argument, hope for change, love and commitment, and potential for future growth, of which they didn't give us anything clear compared to our house, whereby we gave you enough examples. We even explained what we are meaning. In that ground, we win the debate. We also based on the clash and the rebuttal analysis. With all this, all matters raised.
We thank the speaker for their speech. We now call upon the proposition to step their reply.
The question is, if you're unwilling to change, how are you willing to go for things rehabilitation? How are you willing to go for rehabilitation in the first place? It's unclear from us, from opposition, on how they're able to do that. Secondly, if it is true that there is a trend that priests are more willing to go for things like, if priests are willing to change to go for husbands because they love their individuals, why do we have constant divorces within societies? Why is there an increase of people divorcing more years and more years because they love their people? There is just no justification within Lisa and Rin's relationship that they are in love. It is just a jeopardy, and they are unable to characterize that on opposition. They just lose in terms of framing. Secondly, is that love, because they have love, they are willing to change. I think the assumption from opposition is that Lisa is obsessed with this relationship. There is just no justification that the love exists within itself. Maybe Lisa could be following Rin because he wants his money. Maybe Rin could be following Lisa because he wants many things that exist on Lisa's body. I think that's important. Secondly, is a chat about stigma. I think stigma is less likely on our side of the house. Why? Because Lisa is able to be free from things like violence. But at a point in time while Lisa is in a safe space, while Lisa doesn't live with a person who does drugs, it is more important that Lisa is not being stigmatized. But on their side of the house, where you live with a person who's an alcoholist, where you live with a person who does drugs within that society, where you live with a person who does drugs within that home, it is unclear to us from opposition on how you're able to solve that problem. Thirdly, is the assumption that Rin is willing to change. I think within the info slide, it is stated that Rin is irrational. The worst part of this irrationality is that it is inherent. Is that you cannot take away irrationality in and of itself. Is that Rin is an addict anyways. The most important part is that given that it is inherent, you are unable to change that kind of part of analysis, so you are unable to change Rin's thinking about that kind of idea. Secondly, Op says that, that let's just advise Rin and then the room will change anyways. We think that Rin cares about wealth, and that's not the only solution, like we proved to you within this debate. But then again, is that this is an actor's motion. It is all about Rin's well-being, but it is all about Lisa's well-being. We think Lisa's well-being is protected, but we don't want Lisa's well-being to be jeopardized by Rin's addiction and constant jeopardization. Thank you.
We want to thank the teams for such an engaging and above average round. This marks the final round. I wish the teams all the best of luck in the outrons. Good luck.
Thank you so much, dear Judge Rin, for taking us through that very interesting session. You're welcome back, dear viewers, from that long, hefty discussion or debate that we have seen all together. And of course, we await, it's a silent round. Now, a silent round means that we are not giving out results, but the judge will sit and determine who actually wins this round. We appreciate the two teams, and I request that the two teams come to shake their five in here as a sign of comradeship and the team spirit that we have, a sport spirit we have in debate. Please come shake five, and we proceed. Yes, even when they were versing each other, but it is important that this is taken in good spirit to whoever wins this round. That is it, and dear viewers and very wonderful people that have attended this session, I will come. We had the primary session. We had the primary rounds on the other end of the other tournament. Now, in round 5 of the primary section, we had a very interesting motion. This motion looked at the theme on the primary side are talking about climate change. It is very formidable and very fundamental, pertinent at that we appreciate the effects or negative effects of climate change that we have come to see as a result of what we are doing in our environment. And so in round 5, the young ones or the pupils in primary were discussing that this house believes that we should keep funding climate change research even during budget cuts. And this round was round 5. And we ask ourselves, indeed, should we continue to fund these climate change activities, or we should neglect, we should not give it much attention? I'll receive maybe 2 pupils from primary. Fatoli already, please step forward. step forward and tell us what was the take of your side in this whole debate. Please step forward from primary and you tell us how you discussed this climate change. Please come forward and get this hold of microphone. Discussing climate change is very important. Yes, I want you to face this side. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
I need to speak louder, right?
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening. Sir.
How are you?
I'm okay.
What is your name?
Tafira Ivan.
Ivan.
Yeah.
From which school?
Maram Nispo.
Mbara Municipal School. Well, how did you see this round 5 that you've just debated?
It was fine.
It was fine. Did you win?
It was a silent
It was
round.
a silent round. Generally, how did you see it? Do you think you will win? What do you think makes you win the other side?
I think we win because of what we gave, because we were negators, and we believe, yes, the research is made, but we need to implement it. That's what actually we think we win.
You feel you need to continue and implement this research, and so more funding should be accorded to it.
No.
Yes.
We say we shouldn't keep funding it because we already have some research, but it isn't
just paper research.
It isn't implemented yet. So making research and then we don't implement it's just like the barking of the toothless dog. Making research and we just put it at the table and leave it because we think you should make research and then implement it so that it can be put into practice. Instead of making research, we don't implement it and we keep making more. It's just like wasting time, like the barking of the toothless dog.
Instead, we are wasting so much money and resources into that. Wow, that was his take on that we should not actually now continue funding, but we should make use of the ready prepared research. Let us have a feel and implement the research that we have. That is very interesting. You said your name is?
Tafira Ivan.
Ivan from Mbara Municipal School. Thank you so much for that. Any other interesting young lad from primary? If you know you're from primary and you debated that session, please feel free to come on and give us your take on how you feel it goes, or what do you think actually makes a point for you to win this whole round. Yes, I receive another beautiful, smart young lady from Baranyanji Junior. Yes, you will face these people and tell us, what is your take on the resolution that you've just finished right now?
The resolution was too good, and okay, it was somehow some bit tricky because we had a problem of, okay, the solution that they are giving, how to implement it and put it into action. So like that's where the problem was, and that's where the debate was best.
So for you, do you think you win?
Yeah, I think we win because we explained well how we think our solution was better.
Wow. How was your solution better? Tell us. How was it better, more than or compared to theirs?
Because it was sustainable, effective, and it held those people who pollute our environment accountable for what they had done.
What was that strategy? And let us know, what is that exact point that you feel makes you outshine the other side?
It was, we should actually keep funding budget cuts. We should actually keep on funding climate change research even during budget cuts.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. You said your name is?
Ampete Sintangare.
Sorry?
Ampete Sintangare.
Ampe Tesi. I will stop it at that. Thank you. I wish you good luck in your next subsequent rounds. Thank you so much. It's from Baranyanji Junior. Would you love to also come and give us your take? Yes. Please draw close so that we speak together about this session. How are you doing?
Cool.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Aren't you so tired?
No.
You feel you can debate more rounds?
Yes.
Wow. How was this round?
The round was good.
Mm-hmm. What makes it good?
What makes it good? Because I have got good challenges, because it was my first time on nationals, and I feel to be a champion because it has been my first time and others have failed.
Wow, it makes you a champion. So you feel you're already a champion even when you've not yet reached there. That alone, reaching at a final, is being a champion.
Our champion starts now. Your tomorrow
Wow,
starts
that's
now.
interesting. Thank you so much. You said your name is?
Our name is Faith from Branyanji, the head girl.
You are the head girl. Then you deserve it. Thank you so much. I wish you great success in your subsequent rounds. Yes, a round of applause for the head girl in that kind of take of this session. Any other person from in a primary side? If you know you're from primary and you feel you want to give us your take on this session, we are talking about climate change, funding climate change research. Should governments or should we continue funding climate change research even when we are, yes, proceed and come. Proceed and come. Then we listen from this young lady that is here before us. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine.
How was this round then?
In this round, I was affirming, and I believe that we should keep funding climate change research even during budget cuts, cause the negative case, okay, like they are emphasizing that we should implement, but currently they are trying to implement, and what are we seeing? They are failing. So that is why we as a team of farmers believe that they should do more. They should make more research on climate change because they have been implementing and nothing has come out. So
Thank you. Wow, you are a good debater, a very good public speaker. Please don't give up. Please don't give up. And next years you'll be the Miriam Matembes of this world. Thank you. I wish you all the best. Yes, you're very smart.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Your name is?
My name is Navasa Blessed, the blessed man.
Huh?
Navivasa Blessed, the blessed man.
Navivasa Blessed, the blessed man.
Yes.
All those are your names on the documents?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. What makes you feel that this was a very special session?
This was very special because we had proof on how climate change research will be solving the problem.
Yes.
Because it will solve the problem of climate change, which is an urgent. People are dying because of climate change.
You feel it is a very urgent problem that needs to be given attention.
Yes.
And that makes you feel that you will win.
Yes.
I wish you are the blessed man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're from which school?
I'm from Parental Care Nursery and Primary
Parental
School.
care or parental care?
Parental care.
Parental care. Wow. Please, a round of applause for the blessed man. We thank you so much for that kind of advanced speech. Good evening, young one.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Yes. How are you?
I'm good.
What is your name?
My name is Athamye Bernadette.
Athamye?
Bernadette.
Bernadette. From which school?
Coloma Primary School.
Which class are you in?
Primary 6.
6. How was your session?
It was, okay, I understood it more. And we are affirmative, and first why we are supporting the resolution, it's because we are seeing that most problems in Uganda are generated from climate change.
Yes.
And that we should keep funding this climate change research because they will solve the major problem in Uganda, where other problems like health are affected and education due to climate change.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. That was a good research. Are you the one that made the research for yourself, or there's a teacher that helped you?
Part of it.
Part of it. What did you research about, for example?
Like the percentage, just imagining the percentage, 80% of the people affected by climate
So you
change.
already know those things of secondary?
Yes.
That when you reach there, you will pass? Wow, that's good. A round of applause for our young girl, that she can make research at that tender age. It's a beauty of debate, dear viewers and students, that the debate gives you that yardstick or benefit of making research that is competitive, that is worth it. Finally, as I conclude, we had a session of the secondary, those are the matures, which was silent. I will not go much into that because judges might hold me accountable of what is going to be discussed. But we had a resolution that was very tricky, whether the wife to reign should leave him or, okay, we shall see who wins in this silent round. I will go into a break which shall usher us into maybe tomorrow, who knows, maybe to see who breaks into the octofinals. And I'll be glad to be part of that kind of great session to take us through that very exciting moment. We are at Revival TV, 232 start times and at your antenna. And we are saying that we bring you live this National Debate Championship, live from Ntale School. This championship is dubbed and called the TDN, TDN being the Teachers Debate Network Uganda. Lover schools of this country coming together to rock horns and see who indeed will be the champion of the first ever TDN National. Till we meet again, I am Adonia, your host, and I'm glad to have you. Thank you so much and a very good evening.
Revival TV, amagarum wijwire.